where you know, we experience long hold times just to get a hold of a representative who doesn't know us, being transferred. If we experience any of those problems, this would have also been a no-go, but that is not the case. We've had very responsive, timely, personalized support through the whole implementation. Okay, so really what we're going to show you is how Burlington, you know, what we use Burlington for from the teacher's perspective of, you know, what does she do when she hosts a virtual lesson? And also from Anna's perspective of, and how easy, how difficult, where are the tricks in terms of just managing the system. And so next slide, Anna. Marilyn, if you would like to share your screen and show the folks what it is you do with Burlington.
Okay, so I'm opening up share and we are going to start with, hold on a moment. Now I had them all on the bottom. Here we go. I got it. Sorry, guys. Okay, so hello, everyone. I am going to share a little bit about my experience using the Burlington English. Now, prior to using it, let me get out of here. Prior to using it, I was having a real hard time finding appropriate materials for ESOL. I don't know if you are a teacher. Usually for elementary, you have the curriculum and you have the materials. But when you're dealing with adults that are trying to learn English, sometimes it's very hard to find materials. So using Burlington made my job a lot easier. So I'm going to show you why I found it easier. Okay, Anna, I'm having problems finding the actual Burlington.
All right, so what you should do is, are you sharing your whole screen or just?
Yeah, I have the two Word, but then when I try to find the Burlington.
Okay, so click stop share. And then go ahead on your computer and open Burlington.
Okay, so I have to shrink this here.
Yep, shrink it down and then open a web browser with Burlington English open.
Hold on, folks.
Yes, every time we've practiced,
this is always the issue I'm trying to.
Yeah, and after you have that open, go ahead and go back to Zoom and hit share screen. And then remember to click the screen button in the top left and not any other button.
On the top left, hold on.
Yeah, and if you want to share any computer sound, make sure you check the box share computer sound at the bottom of the options, as well as the screen option.
I'm still having problems finding Burlington.
Why don't we?
No, that's okay. You just share the screen button, and then you can open Burlington. So now click your web browser.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, can everyone see this now?
Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yes, Marilyn, we can.
Okay, good. So when I open up Burlington, the first thing that I do is that I go to courses. When I open this little box, it begins to show me all the different levels for my students. So it goes from basic all the way to advanced. So right now I'm going to show you high beginners. What I love about this is what I was telling you earlier is it makes your job a lot easier, because I remember when I was developing lesson plans in the past, sometimes I would spend a few hours just trying to get everything cohesive and making sure that it would line up with the ELP standards. So when you go to lesson plans, we have already completed module 1, module 2, module 3. So you go to the module that you are doing. I did education. So right now I'm doing Money Matters. So I open up Money Matters and I can go right to the lesson plan. Just waiting for it to open up. It's loading. I guess because everyone's on at the same time. Let's try this again. Here we go. So as you can see, this is actually the lesson plan of Burlington. I could even enlarge it so that you can see. Here we go. No matter what state you are in, you know, we have to align everything to our standards. So they give you this one, and we always use the ELPS. So from that, I'm able to build my lesson. What I love about this is that they actually give you the 10-minute warm-up. What I do, because we're on virtual, I can actually highlight it and copy it into a Word document. And then when the students come on to Burlington, they can see the warm-up. Let me go here. They can actually see a warm-up, and they can do that for the first 10 minutes. Sometimes they answer using chat. Sometimes they answer verbally. So we do different exercises to get them ready for the actual lesson, okay? And I usually also introduce the ELP, Ohio English Language Proficiency Standards, for that particular lesson. And then I use the I can statement. So it's so much that you can do creatively with Burlington. So then I go back to Burlington, and now I'm going to get out of here. Everyone still see?
Yes.
Okay. And then once you're done with this, now we can begin the in-class lesson. So all you have to do is open that up. We were doing Money Matters, grammar comparatives. So I opened this up. And now what I love about this is that it actually gives you the objective or the goal for that given lesson. And it gives you an actual example of what a comparative adjective is. So in this lesson, we're introducing the ER and the than. So you begin. And sometimes we will take this and do it in pairs. Sometimes I'll do a breakout room so they can practice, or we do it as a whole class. What I enjoy about this is that they actually give you the skill, the grammar skill that they are going to work on. A lot of my students, because they're on virtual, on Zoom, sometimes they choose to take a picture of this, or sometimes we copy it down into a notebook. So it's showing the skills that we're going to cover for that given hour. Usually it takes a good hour, hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. So again, it's showing comparative adjectives using the ER. When it changes to Y, adding the I. And I'm sure if you're listening, you're probably dealing with ESOL as well. So you know what I'm talking about. And then we begin the practice. Again, they can do it on chat. Sometimes I verbally call on a student and ask them to give me the answer. Sometimes they do it in pairs. And as they're answering right down here, you can check. And once they answer the first one, you could see if they got it correct. So each time they are answering, you are checking to see if, and they're seeing it to see if they have it correct. And then you can show all the answers at the very end. And this continues. So what you're actually doing is you're scaffolding the lesson from beginning to end until they actually become independent. This I enjoy because when I used to be in the classroom, I would take the sentences, cut them into strips, put them in an envelope. So it's the same concept, but actually they are doing it on their own. So they have to put this into a complete sentence using the words that are here. This is a lot of fun because sometimes they'll do it in pairs. Sometimes I have them do a competition. with each other. So you could be so creative. It does not limit you. You can use your own style of teaching in order to introduce all of these skills. It keeps on practicing, same concept. Keeps through the practice, it continues. I'm not going to go through all of this, but just so you can get an understanding. And each time they are answering it. And then always at the end, they have a review. Sometimes the review is a game. They have bingo. Sometimes they have different, the Xbox, what is that? Tic-tac-toe, they have that. And so they make it fun and the students enjoy getting to that very end. Now, this is what it also shows. If you go to these 3 dots, you press on that, and now you can do a worksheet, you can review what their homework is, and you can remind them to do their vocabulary practice. If I end early, I usually go to the worksheets. And you can actually, here's grammar comparatives. You can, in the classroom, I used to give it out and say, okay, this is part of your assignment. But because we're on virtual, you can actually do another exercise with them and you can enlarge it and have them do it. And again, they can do this in a breakout room. They could do it together as a classroom, or they could do it individually. What I've been doing now, because we're moving into the advanced, I've been having them literally write, because with this, with virtual, you know how hard that is. You don't really get to see a lot of writing, and I want them to be able to show me their work. So just recently we started using the chat just so that I could check their work and see how they're doing. Or, you know, later on you can use Google Classroom and have them do an assignment, write a paragraph and send it to you. All right, so here's the other nice thing about this. Let's go back. Okay, so we're going back to these 3 dots. And now I always review what their homework is for that week. And if you see here, they're getting almost exactly the same work, but the words change. And so now they have to be independent learners. And now they are going to do this independently and answer the questions. And again, they show the exact same presentation of the grammar on both 3 and 4. And then they work independently to complete it. Again, exciting for me. You know how I used to have to grade their papers? I always tell them, check your progress and see how you did in each lesson. So it will break it up and show them what grade did they get for 5, what did they get for 6, 7, and 8, and then it shows them a culminating grade. Now, because I'm on the teachers, it will show you the students that I have, but when they do it, it just shows them their score. So they can always go back and review their work. And if they messed up, they can go back and correct it. And the very last thing is the vocabulary practice. Now this is in Spanish. I have 2 students that are from Syria and they speak Arabic. And I remember I called the representative from Ohio, Katerina, and I said, I need this changed. It's in Spanish. It didn't even take an hour, and it had already been translated into Arabic. So I was able to let the students know, hey, you can go ahead and practice your vocabulary because now it's in your language. And if you look at it, it'll give you a phrase. And so $2 off. Then they actually see it in their given language. And not only that, if they have the mics on with the speaker, the little earphone, they can actually record their voice and it will show them if they said it correctly. So there are tons and tons of things that you can do with this program. Even the sounds. And this is all open for them. This is extra work. So I don't assign this. This is just extra work if they want to get really good.
All right, we can't really hear it. So.
Oh, you can't hear it?
That's okay. I think we've given everyone a good snapshot per se of just, you know, how you use it in everyday life. Because
right. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, we could hear it at the end there.
Okay.
As in heat.
Okay, so there's so much that you can do with this program. I'm not trying to sell it. It just made my life a whole lot easier as far as preparing lesson plans, especially using Zoom and virtual. So Mary, I'm going to turn it right back to you.
Okay. And now we're going to hear from Anna Brewer, and she's going to share her screen just to show you how she does the whole the platform management.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mary, for that introduction. The first topic, just a moment, my slideshow isn't working here. There we go. The first topic that I would like to go over today is the ease of entering a student into Burlington. After I log in, I get a series of menu options. The main menus that I use for the administrative/data entry portion for Burlington are the reports menu and administration menu. To show the ease of entering a student, I will go to the administration zone menu. On this page, there are several menu options, including teachers, classes, students, progress, and seats. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to be working with the students menu and the seats menu. In order to enter a new student, I click on the New Student tab in the top left corner. The first box to fill in is the student's mother tongue. As Marilyn mentioned before, this is very helpful when it comes to personalizing a student's Burlington experience. The details that need to be entered for each new student include their name, gender, username, and password. For the student's username, I like to use their first and last name. I use the same password for every student. I think I already entered the student, that's why, but that's how easy it is to enter a student into Burlington. Now I'm going to navigate to the seats menu. This menu shows the number of purchased, occupied, and vacant seats. The great thing about Burlington is that you can recycle seats. If a student stops attending, they can be removed and we can give their seat to someone else. Burlington also allowed us to roll over our unused seats from last year. Now I would like to demonstrate the message that students see when they log into Burlington. A student gets two options when they log in. They can choose at school or away from school. This helps with attendance because it ensures that we are not double recording attendance. The last topic that I would like to cover is the proxy report. It's very simple to pull up. You can either export it into an Excel file, which is what I prefer, or you can run it right on the website if you're just taking a quick look. Okay, now the best part about the proxy report is that it separates the in-class and away from class attendance. Let me demonstrate that for you. Here we have a total tab. This is their total at school and away from school attendance. This is the at school portion. We have a little bit of attendance there usually. The important part for me is over here. There's a not at school overall attendance. This is what I enter when I enter Burlington attendance. This helps me keep their in-class attendance separate from their out-of-class attendance. The last comment I have is about the Burlington staff. The Burlington staff has always been extremely responsive and helpful. It is as easy to communicate with them as it is to use their software, in my opinion. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you, Anna. If you just want to go to the last page, the next slide.
That's going to be on yours. Give me one moment.
There we go. And so I have, a little bit additional like late breaking information, if you will, regarding another feature in Burlington that we are finalizing in hopes of using an assessment that is currently in Burlington, using that for our provisional assessments. We are struggling mightily to get, here, let me turn my video on. We're struggling quite a bit with getting ESOL students in particular into orientations. We've had a good steady stream of folks coming through in-person orientations, but as the COVID situation is trending upward, we've had to cancel our in-person orientation that would have been this Saturday. And we know that we're going to need to move to provisionals because at the end of the day, I have support from my leadership at the college that we need to do the right thing. We can't just say no more orientation. So we are going to go with provisional, as anyone that's on this presentation who is an ESOL orientation person or instructor will know, getting our folks to be able to participate in a virtual orientation is nearly impossible. So there is a function in Burlington that has an assessment that does have a correlation to the TABE Class E scores. And we are doing our due diligence right now, trying to make sure that's a good fit for us. But we do believe students will be able to do that provisional assessment, even if all they have is a phone, so that we can get them into class, because at the end of the day, that's what we need to do. And so I do know that Katarina from Burlington has joined the call, and I don't know if you have Anything additional to share, Katerina? I don't know if she's on at the moment. Brandy, are you there?
I am. Hi. Katerina is on the call, but she's on her phone, so I know it's a little issue. But yeah, the only thing I have to mention about the placement test is you as teachers have controls which allow you to allocate that placement test for your students. It's going to place the students in a core course, in the appropriate core course, so that you've got the starting at the beginning literacy to the advanced. Again, accessible on smartphones, really, really helpful. And then we do have guides. So if you need some more information on that placement test that you can use for a provisional test, let us know because we can get you set up with that. And it's very easy to allocate that from either the admin side or the teacher side.
Yeah, and there is a handy dandy correlation chart that Burlington has created that will enable us to get that the low end TABE Class E score for a range that we need to input into AbleLink. Oh, and I see Justin is asking, how can we get that chart?
Is it that chart, Justin, is in the course and lesson planner, the TABE, the correlations? Is that what you're referencing?
Yep. I believe so, and I saw it right on your webpage.
There's the placement guide, and then there's also the TABE Class E correlations, which are nice for you all who are a TABE Class E state. We are also working on a nice, even a more accurate correlation that really focuses on the TABE Class E, the levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so we're aligning. Once we finish that, you'll see how we can direct you and your students towards specific lessons and activities that may have to do with times, calendars, the things that you're required to teach or that are on that test. But Justin, you can email Katerina or myself. We can send you that or point you in the direction of how to find that.
Yes, because I think a lot of folks are in the boat that we're in right now, that we've been hopeful that in-person things would be opening up, and instead we're kind of going in the other direction. And so, knowing that it is already a piece of this system that the students are going to need to access anyway, we're really pleased that looks like it's going to be an option for us.
And then another new update I wanted to mention, and I'm sure Marilyn knows where this is, but the tutorials are now available for your students in 18 different languages, and those are voiceovers. It's not subtitles. So if you're, teaching your students how to record when you're working with them remotely is not easy. So there are several tutorials to help with recording, those recording words and phrase activities, the multiple choice recording activities, even using the pronunciation course, that speech trainer. There are now tutorials available in at voiceovers in 18 different languages. So if you can point your students out to the tutorials tile, it's very, very helpful in this virtual world we're living in.
Right, and really moving in this direction and no longer conducting TABE Class E computerized testing in person. One of our biggest concerns was they need to have a headpiece and microphone to do TABE Class E, the listening and speaking. And I'm just completely creeped out by sharing headpieces at this stage of the game. So that's another, reason to go to this, the transitional right now. So I don't know what others are thinking. And it looks like we have, Katerina's information is now in the chat if anybody needs to grab that. And really that does wrap up our presentation. And, our intention was just to show you how we use things and really say why this worked for us. And so does anyone else have any questions?
There are no questions in the chat.
Okay, and I'm just kind of seeing who's in here. So if there are no further questions, we can let you get a little bigger break before your next session starts. If that, so you can all check email and refresh your coffee.
Justin has a good question about using Burlington in a multi-level classes. And are Maryland's, I love to hear from the teacher if Maryland has experience with that.
In what level?
With a multi-level class.
So if you have them all together, you're saying in different levels all together at one time. You know, honestly, I have a low beginner and a high beginner, and sometimes I just choose to meet one at 1 hour and one the other hour. I haven't been able to put them together because then it kind of throws off the ones that are more advanced or the ones that are struggling. You can't give them that one-on-one. So what I usually do is just break it up and say, okay, I'll meet you from 11 to 12 and I'll meet this group from 10 to 11. That has worked for me if you have the time to be able to do that. I don't know, Mary, would you have any suggestions for that?
What we're doing is we have basically an entry level and an advanced. So the advanced are the, you know, that way in both daytime and evening, we have more level and advanced, and we tend to have all the new students in at the entry level unless super high, just to get acclimated to the whole, you know, the way class is going to go and so forth. But yeah, we don't have all separate them higher.
Yeah.
And if you get really good with Zoom, you can use breakout rooms. Maryland, you're kind of using that rotational model.
That has helped.
Justin, I love the core. It's our newest series. It's aligned to all the, you know, what you're supposed to teach, the CCRS, the ELPs. But the EL Civics course, or English in America, is really meant for a multi-level classroom. The topics are the exact same. The lessons, the topics are the same, or very, very similar. The rigor obviously changes depending on levels. So that is a really good course to use for a truly multi-level class. The college or the career exploration and soft skills course can also be used in a multi-level classroom. If you love grammar, there's not as much grammar in English in America, which is why core, the feedback was, we want more grammar. So the core does have a lot of grammar integrated, but the English in America worksheets contain a lot of grammar. So you are able to teach that grammar primarily through the worksheets in that English in America series.
And one of the struggles, you know, again, to Justin's question, you know, one of the struggles that we do have is, you know, you do have even if everybody oriented at the same time, there's somebody that doesn't join class for a month and now they're behind. You can assign them the previous lessons, you know, to work on at home. But, you know, I'm going to be honest, we don't have a lot of success with people just heading home and getting 40 hours in on their own. You don't see, you know, that is rare. You have a couple people that really like it, you know, being in the program, you know, being in Burlington, but it is a struggle when that person who's a low skill level student enters where you've got students who are at a higher level. Like I said, we give them access to, you know, something that they can do if they choose, but we do struggle with them choosing to do it. Okay, any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Well, thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for their participation today. I'd like to thank Mary and Anna and Marilyn for giving us all this insight into the ease of using Burlington. And I'm sure if anyone has additional questions that Katerina, the customer manager, would be happy to help. And with that, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.